Hello, today's lesson we're going to do a little bit of vocabulary for this unit. The first one is a transformation. That's what most of this unit's about, is transforming things. And so a transformation is just the general term for the manipulation of a shape. The original figure is called the preimage, and the final shape and position of the object is the image under the transformation. There are four types of transformations we're going to study in geometry: translations, reflections, rotations, and dilations. Now, if there's a type of transformation, a subgroup of this, that's called an isometry. Now, an isometry is a rigid transformation, which means that the shape does not change. So translations, reflections, and rotations will be these rigid transformations, or isometries, meaning they'll stay the same shape and size once they're done. Now, if we look at translation, a translation, you take your pre-image and just slide it over till you get your image. It's a transformation, or first it's a shift or a slide. Those are some more middle school terms. It's a transformation that slides or translates each point of a figure the same distance in the same directions. The result is reflected over two parallel lines, and we'll talk about this later. This thing right here that slides it, we often call that a vector. It's just like a kind of like a ray, but it just moves everything in one direction. Um, the next one, assuming this is going to work, is a reflection, or another way of saying that is flip. A transformation in which each point of the image is the same distance from the line of reflection as the original figure. Now, one thing we should have talked about already is that the line of reflection, uh, the distance, if the distance is the same, that means the distance between a point and a line is always along the perpendicular. So my drawing here isn't perfect. Those should land here and come back. And this distance should be the same as this distance. And those should be perpendicular. It's easy to do line of reflection here, but when there's going to be some problems when it's not so easy. So when you do that, draw a line perpendicular and keep going in the same distance perpendicular until you hit the spot you need to be at. Composition of isometries is it's the result of applying one transformation and then another transformation onto the image. So we take our pre-image where we start, we reflect it, and then we reflect it again. So when we do a couple things, we call that a composition of isometries. Our last one here is orientation. It refers to the arrangements of points relative to one another. So what that means is if I have A, B, C, we say that the orientation is clockwise. But if I flip it around, A, B, C, we say that it's counterclockwise. Handwriting's terrible, but hopefully you get how to spell counterclockwise. Oh, put two C's in there. All right. All right. Now, if we are going to do a reflection and then a reflection again, and these two lines are parallel lines. If, let's say this distance here is 6, wouldn't this distance here also have to be 6? If this distance is 2, that distance would be 2. So hopefully you notice that in between here, that distance is 8, but from B all the way to B double prime, that's 16. So the distance between the parallel lines is always going to be half of this big distance, And that makes sense because we always have to double this part of it to get over here and double this part of it to get to here. So the whole thing should be double. Another thing I should talk about is if A is here, when I reflect it, we call it A prime. And when we reflect it again, it's A double prime with two dashes. So, um, so that's how we mark it. Um, eh, so there's a lot of things here. One more thing to look at, the orientation. If I flip this, the orientation now goes from clockwise to counterclockwise. And when I reflect it again, it goes back to clockwise. Um, so this end figure has the same orientation as it does in the beginning. All right, that's enough for this lesson. Hopefully that's enough for you to get through the work.